Bai Lu stood right there while Dylan told Shen Yue he still loves her. The rehearsal was meant to be simple. Just another emotional scene on a quiet soundstage lit with dim studio lights and the distant hum of equipment being adjusted by tired crew members. Bai Lu had just arrived after a long morning of makeup and silent stares from the staff. She knew something felt different. She could feel it in the silence that seemed to stretch too long between lines, in the glances that held too much meaning. Shen Yue was already standing across from Dylan Wang. The two were rehearsing an emotionally charged scene from their upcoming drama, one about two people torn apart by years of misunderstanding and silence. The irony was not lost on anyone watching. But then something happened. Something no one had planned for. The cameras were rolling, but what came out of Dylan's mouth was not in the script. He looked directly into Shen Yue's eyes, his voice barely above a whisper, and said, "I never stopped loving you." The room froze. Even the lighting assistant who had been scrolling through his phone looked up. The line was not scripted, not even remotely close, and yet it came out so effortlessly, so honestly, that no one moved. Shen Yue's face shifted. She blinked once, then again, then slowly stepped back as if trying to catch her breath. Bai Lu was standing right there, just 10 feet away, holding the script in her hand, frozen in time. She didn't speak. She didn't move. But her eyes gave everything away. And someone was filming, not officially, not for the show, but for their own phone. A private behind-the-scenes moment that now sits quietly on the edge of going viral. The tension after that was unbearable. Dylan walked off set. No explanation. No apology. He just left. And Shen Yue. She followed silently minutes later. Bai Lu remained behind, still clutching the script, still trying to process what had just happened. Later that night, the video surfaced. It wasn't clear. There was no sound, just body language, facial expressions, tension so thick you could almost feel it through the screen. Fans were quick to notice, to speculate, to draw lines between fiction and reality. Was this a personal confession? A moment Dylan could no longer hold back. Did he confuse the scene with real emotion? Or did he mean every word? The producers have refused to comment. Bai Lu has gone silent on social media. Shen Yue posted a picture of a sunset with no caption. And Dylan? He hasn't been seen since that day. But fans already believe they know the truth. They're stitching videos, breaking down eye contact, matching past interviews with that single moment. One user commented, "This wasn't acting. That was real." She felt it. He meant it. And Bai Lu, she knew it. This scene, this unscripted moment, may have changed everything. What happens next? No one can say. But one thing is clear. This isn't just a drama anymore. It's real life. And everyone is watching. The lights on set were still glowing faintly, casting long shadows across the floor, but no one was paying attention to the cameras anymore. What had just happened wasn't part of any script. It wasn't staged. It wasn't planned. And no one knew how to react. Bai Lu had not moved. Not even once. She stood frozen, her arms by her side, her eyes wide with disbelief as Dylan's words replayed in her mind again and again. "I still love you, Shen Yue." He hadn't whispered it. He hadn't tried to shield it from anyone. He said it with a weight that pierced every corner of the room. And he said it knowing Bai Lu was right there. Shen Yue, caught in the emotional blast, stepped back instinctively. Her expression had changed from shock to something else. Pain. Regret. Maybe even guilt. She hadn't expected that confession. Not here. Not now. Not like this. Bai Lu blinked, finally breathing again. She took one small step forward, her heels clicking against the marble floor. The silence cracked under her movement. Dylan turned around slowly. His face looked pale, like he had only just realized what he had done. "Bai Lu," he started, but his voice broke. He knew there was no explanation that would make sense. No justification that would fix this. She didn't cry. Not yet. She didn't scream. She didn't collapse. Instead, She said one sentence so calm, so clear it made everyone stop breathing all over again. You didn't even hesitate. Her voice wasn't shaking. It was sharp, slicing through the room like a cold wind. Dylan took a step closer, but Bai Lu stepped back. I stood by you through everything, she continued, her voice rising just slightly. I defended you. I silenced myself for you. And this is what you give back to me. Shen Yue tried to speak, her hand reaching out gently. Bai Lu, I didn't. Don't, Bai Lu snapped, turning to her. Don't act like you didn't feel it coming. You both knew. And you let me stand there like I was invisible. That's when the tears began to fall, but not from Bai Lu. From Shen Yue. Dylan looked down, ashamed. And the cast, the crew, the assistants, every single person on that set felt the shift. The project wasn't just a drama anymore. Real hearts were breaking between takes. Real friendships were being tested. Bai Lu walked past them both, her head held high, but her chest visibly rising and falling as she held back the weight of everything. Before leaving the room, she paused by the door, not turning back. The next time you want to confess your feelings, make sure the person you're with isn't still standing there waiting for you to choose her. And then she walked out. The echo of the door closing behind her was louder than Dylan's confession. And now, the entire industry is whispering about what comes next. Because that one moment, it might have ended everything. Shen Yue did not speak for several seconds. Her eyes, red from the sting of emotion, remained fixed on the table between them. Dylan had confessed, Bai Lu had heard it all, and now there was no curtain left to pull. It was all out in the open. You should go after her, Shen Yue said softly, almost in a whisper, but every word cut through the silence. She didn't deserve to hear it like that. Dylan shook his head. It's not about who deserved what. It's about the truth. And maybe the truth needed to come out this way. Back in the hallway, Bai Lu was still standing frozen. She had only taken 5 steps away from the room, but everyone felt like a mile. Her fingers clutched the strap of her purse like it was the only thing grounding her. Assistants walked by, extras whispered, but no one dared approach her. There was something in her silence that warned them to stay back. Someone had left a script on a bench nearby. Bai Lu sat down beside it, staring at the words on the page that suddenly felt meaningless. Lines, roles, characters, all of it paled in comparison to what she had just heard. Shen Yue and Dylan had a history, sure, but she never imagined it still lived in his heart. Not after everything. Inside the room, Shen Yue finally stood up. You say you love me, Dylan, but what do you expect me to do with that? She paused, walking toward the door. Do you expect me to wait in the background while you patch things up with Bai Lu and pretend this never happened? I don't want to pretend anymore, Dylan said, voice cracking for the first time. I've been pretending for too long.